Hello, this is part 0 or prologue sort of. Here I want to ask you what to do for the next video. Should I stick to the reading style as I did for this video? I will improve eventually, my reading technique will improve. Or говорить на моем родном языке с добавлением субтитров английских. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you. Hello, I completed all 5 parts of the Mass Effect franchise without dying on the highest difficulty Insanity in a single marathon run. This means that if I had died at any point, I would have started all 5 games from the very beginning. I allowed myself to take breaks for sleep and personal responsibilities, saving in-game before doing so. But if I had made a fatal mistake upon returning, I would have restarted everything. I said all 5 parts of the Mass Effect franchise, and that's correct. The 6th, if you can call it that, Mass Effect Galaxy, is an iOS mobile game that's unplayable today. It can be run on modern systems, but even if it could, I wouldn't include it because it doesn't fit my project's rules. I want to talk about those rules, the essence of my Permadeath project, in the first part of this video. In the second part, I'll discuss the run using each game as an example. I don't recommend skipping the first part, since it will answer many of your questions. Still, I'll add a timestamp for part 2 if you would prefer to jump there. A few years ago, I wanted to find a streamer let's player on YouTube who would complete entire series of video games without dying on the hardest difficulty, not just isolated entries of a franchise. Maybe they would remove certain games if they were so bad that cutting them was the sensible choice, or maybe skip them for technical reasons. In general, it would be a marathon lasting dozens or even hundreds of hours depending on the franchise. I see a few ways to execute such marathons. My approach: segmented but with the responsibility to start from scratch if I mess up. Physically it's easier because you don't bend your life around the run. You carve out room for the marathon within your life. The sacrifice approach: you give up your free time, maybe even other responsibilities, for the marathon. In my view, it doesn't justify itself. That's when you stream your entire day until you reach the goal. You've probably seen titles like "I can't end the stream until." I'll be honest, I seriously considered that approach up to streaming myself sleeping, like the famous streamer Ludwig did. I thought it was the most honest way to show the process. But I changed my mind because, frankly, I don't have the audience right now to justify sacrificing parts of my life for them. Apart from Permadeath marathons, I also wanted to see no damage runs, and, over time, I found people doing them. For example, there is a streamer named Ether. He has devoted part of himself to the Resident Evil series and other survival horror games. He is a well-known, recognized master of the franchise, recording damage-free runs, including multi-game marathons. So it seems that for no death across multiplayer games, I might be the only one, at least as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just haven't found others. No damage exists, but only selectively, at most 6 games. I want to unite many survival horror games from different franchises into a single no damage marathon. For example, the 2 The Evil Within games, 6 or more Resident Evil titles, 4 Dead Space entries, the trilogy and the remake, and if I take even the slightest damage halfway through, I must go right back to the very start. That's my goal, to play my favorite games in 2 distinct styles. My project has a number of rules. They aren't meant to burden me or potential viewers, but to help you navigate my content and know what to expect next. Rule 1. What do I mean by a series of games? Sometimes I say franchise, but that's not quite accurate, since I can remove a game from the official list, as I did with the Mass Effect Galaxy in this run. Beyond its terrible quality, it simply doesn't resemble the other entries. This leads to the most important rule of my project: a strong similarity of gameplay. The game should be similar enough that you might not immediately realize you are in a different franchise. Each time I return to a series, I carefully consider what can be added to it, and I play the new games together with the old in a single marathon. Using Mass Effect as an example, what could we add? The Expanse series Reborn and Exodus. Problems arose when I added the mobile game Mass Effect Infiltrator. After playing and recording it, I cross-checked online and discovered another franchise nearly indistinguishable from that mobile game. Gears of War. If I take responsibility for my words and take my rules seriously, then I should play the Gears of War series alongside Mass Effect. Keep in mind that even though I cross-check online and search carefully, I can still miss things. You can help me by commenting under the video about any overlooked games. On difficulty selection, almost always I'll choose the highest difficulty, but there is roughly a 10% chance I won't. Not all games implement the hardest difficulty reasonably. Sometimes it feels like the devs edited just to have a toggle, not to offer a new experience or genuine interest for the player. Trust me, you'll feel this immediately as soon as you launch such a game. I'm not going to indulge developer incompetence or wreck my mental health just for a checkmark. Rule 2. Mods. I may install any mods I consider interesting and important for the run. I understand how that sounds to some of you. For a small group of perfectionists, installing mods destroys the very meaning of a challenge project, because modding equals cheating, distorting the developer's intent and difficulty. On well-known hardcore hubs like Team Hitless or Speedrun.com, there are many rules usually forbidding not only mods but even arbitrary graphics tweaks. I know firsthand how high FPS can be equated with cheating, or ultra-wide resolutions because you see more than someone with a standard monitor. Please understand, my project is not a way to sneak into the rankings of those sites. I don't want to join those communities. I have my own path, which I would sum up as find joy in challenges and give that joy to the viewer. What thrill would there be in beating a series without devs if I installed a mod that makes me invulnerable or gives me infinite resources? None. But on the other hand, is it interesting to watch endless planet scanning in Mass Effect 2 or the repetitive hacking minigame there and in Mass Effect 1? Does limiting Shepard's sprint so he can run indefinitely add difficulty? I'm sure your answer is no, it's not interesting and not needed. I take this golden mean very seriously when modding for the project. I'll list all the mods I used for each Mass Effect in the video description. For now, here are 3 more so you can better understand my logic. Reduced but not removed evade cooldown in Mass Effect Andromeda. There was originally only a mod that removes the cooldown entirely, until someone fixed it. In vanilla, Ryder moves too slowly and clunkily. You constantly want to mash evade to speed him up, but the ability's limit leads to painful spam with no real result. Removing the limit has the opposite effect. You can basically fly, dropping from any height. With modern Hall effect keyboards, you can send instant actuation and turn one press into 4 at once, creating non-stop dodges and letting Ryder travel in a straight line through the air. The reduced cooldown mod sets a ceiling and prevents flying. Honestly, I don't consider flying in Andromeda literal cheating, but it makes a dull game even duller. You can trivialize any physical obstacle on planets and in vaults. Look, I will try to do this again. You see? I would fall. Again. It's very important. And I won't repeat this again until the end of this game. The bridge is not existed, and let's try this again with this reduced cooldown not eliminated completely. Fall. That's all. In Andromeda, a single store with all items. In vanilla, the devs scattered upgrades, resources, etc. across different planetary shops, and their inventories are refreshed. You know a needed upgrade is here, but you can get it without reloading the location. This was done purely to slow progress and pad playtime. In my opinion, that's an insult to players. Using a single store mod isn't just convenient, it's natural. I don't think Andromeda is playable without it. All Liara's upgrades available immediately in Mass Effect 2. I can already hear the outrage. I avoided this mod for a long time for that reason. The DLC's balance is built on random upgrade drops as you progress through other missions. Grabbing them all early, especially in the first half of the game, gives you a major advantage. Looks like cheating, right? Let me explain. In vanilla, after each completed mission, you may get a random bonus, sometimes just a resource, not a weapon upgrade, at the Shadow Broker's terminal. This effect is not cumulative. If you don't fly back after each mission, you lose the chance. That creates an absurd loop of constant flies. and a massive waste of time. With this mod I saved my sanity and yours. For me it's equivalent to the single store mod in Andromeda. That's it for mods. The next question. When will I return to a series with added games? I can't name concrete dates. For example, when Exodus releases, I'll return and add the entire Gears of War franchise. I'm not sure about my future. I won't burden you with my personal details. I'll just say the project might become less important to me if certain problems get out of control. Consider this a separate rule. There are no firm return dates. It may happen or never happen. So enjoy what's here. Another important question. Why don't you speedrun since your task is to beat games without dying? The entire Mass Effect series could be cut down to at most 10 hours, let alone future survival horrors. The answer is simple. I don't want to. There is no rule forbidding speedrunning. Rarely I'll use speedrun strategies, especially in survival horror. I just don't want to deprive myself of the pleasure of full playthroughs. I like studying and writing a route that covers most of the game. That said, I am not obliged to complete every bit of content. When planning a route, I stick to common sense and my own feel for the game, what I enjoy and what a viewer might enjoy. During the run recording, I phrased it a bit differently, saying there is a project rule that forces me to study game content once, then I am free never to touch it again. Sorry, that was misinformation. I said it without thinking. Next rule. For the Permadeath category, I will always mix chunks of games during the run. From the start of this video you've seen me constantly jumping between the Mass Effect games. I did the same in the run, except here you only see a few seconds or minutes at a time, while during the run I switched roughly every hour and a half. This does not apply to the no damage category. There games go one after another from start to finish. Why do it this way? I think it's more interesting and a bit harder. Take this Mass Effect series. My task was to beat it without death in the most convenient practical way. Any experiment that endangered the character felt foolish, so the playthrough can look repetitive and boring. For instance, I used only a few weapons across the entire series. In Andromeda, once I got the Black Widow sniper rifle, I stuck with it. In Mass Effect 2, I almost always use the Mako. In Mass Effect 3, I ran others on Shepard a Typhon for the squad. Showing the games in segments keeps the audience from watching the same thing for 10 plus hours straight. It also increases difficulty. Each switch forces me to readjust to a new gameplay model. For me, the main thing was to keep the intrigue, for myself obviously. Am I capable of beating all 5 games? If you jump to the final part 4 of the run, you'll see it ends at the Mass Effect 3 finale, with all other games already beaten. If I'd played in chronological order, I'd finish with Andromeda, over 10 hours of monotonous gameplay where I knew I could not die. I found a strategy, stealth plus Black Widow, where death only comes from carelessness. The adrenaline and taste of victory would have been replaced by boredom. You might say, then put Andromeda first. Actually no, that would be worse. Knowing I'd have to traverse that long, monotonous game, each attempt would strip any joy from the run. About my recording setup. I used 2 cameras, one on my face and one on my hands. I also kept the microphone on, even if I stay silent for hours. Sometimes I talk, share emotions or narrate what I'm thinking, but briefly, then go quiet again. The cameras and microphone convey the room's presence to show a real person is doing this. Without them, what's left? Identical in-game sounds and repetitive gameplay. I understand some people only want to watch the game like a movie. For them, cameras and extra audio are a nuisance. Frankly, my content isn't for those viewers. Permadeath project is like esports, but for single player. It's a story about the player first and then about the games he has chosen. I think I have set the priorities right. This is part 2. Let's talk about each games. Mass Effect Infiltrator. Although this game chronologically sits between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, I put it first start to finish. It's a mobile title where you can't start fresh without fully deleting the game. New Game Plus is forced after your first run, and there is nothing you can do. Your upgraded character always carries over. Honestly, it isn't worth the hassle of deleting and reinstalling on an Android emulator. I won't pretend yes, that made the run easier. Is it cheating? No, that's how the devs designed it. In very rare cases, I'll seek workarounds to remove New Game Plus in future games. On the other hand, even fully upgraded, you can die instantly. Stand 2 seconds too long under certain enemies' fire and you melt. You can see this in the dev compilation, a separate video on my channel.
Dropship signatures. The facility is under attack.
What's the chances they'd home in on the comm relay?
Ogre mech en route.
I also died once to a Centurion for the same reason, but I deleted the file out of sheer frustration with the game, so it's not in the compilation. I treated this game as punishment for dying in the main games. It's repetitive with very awkward controls. A fully upgraded assault rifle deals colossal damage to everything but mech and turret drones. The sniper rifle could have been great, but the dev slashed its damage by several times if you miss the crit spot. Invisibility is another ability that turns the game into farce when spawned. Fully upgraded, you can shoot without leaving stealth. I tried to use it defensively only, to avoid damage, not offensively. I skipped the DLC because I had enough, and I bet you would too. I did beat it privately and can tell you it's unplayable trash. 85% of the original gameplay was cut. The Turian has only 2 weapons, assault rifle plus shotgun, and a single ability, stealth. You replay the same areas against the same enemies. The challenge is that you only get basic unupgraded gear, which forces endless stealth, advanced retreat loops, and long dull shooting at beefy enemies. There is no proper ending. After you beat the ogre mech with base gear, which takes around 15 minutes if you are a good player, you enter a room and get killed in a cutscene. That's it. Skipping this DLC perfectly illustrates my content selection approach. I want to include blatantly shoddy low-grade content in the run. Mass Effect Andromeda. This game is known for an interesting combat system and a terrible story with dumb, boring characters and catastrophic facial animation. The animation and geometry are so poor they ruin any serious engagement with the narrative. Your brain knows the story isn't as bad as it looks, but you can't take it seriously. I literally felt disgusted at times. Maybe I am too emotional. Fun mods can fix a lot of it. Those are relevant to the run, so I didn't install them. But my passion for those mangled faces were thin. If I hadn't finished the run, I would have installed graphics mods for sure. As for combat, in my first playthrough I found a loophole, the Black Widow sniper rifle. It's so strong that upgraded for sustained fire via bioconverter and increased ammo, you can delete everything to the end of the game. In other words, I broke the combat system, one weapon for the entire game. Add abilities like stealth and invasion and you get the gameplay you see on screen. The problem is amplified by enemy AI misbehaving at long range. Close range is fine. It feels like the devs didn't expect you to leverage snipers this well. I suspect the design was controller first, not mouse and keyboard.
I can bypass the command center's doors from here, Pathfinder. Please try to remain within range of the console until the process is complete.
Get ready, kid. They know we're here. There's more of them.
My teammates are just so stupid.
Pathfinder, I have bypassed security. You can now enter the command center. reading a normal temperature range, Pathfinder.
What a beautiful game design.
Life support is stable.
Rack, anything you can do?
Grogan, stand down!
I don't think he understands.
Grogan, listen to me!
Forget it, it's not working!
Damn!
Here we go. Head up ahead.
I'm about to be dead, Cat. Punch through!
I'm trying!
Or you're welcome to hang back and die.
Tempest, this is Ryder. Do you copy?
I hear you, Pathfinder.
We have the map, and we're trying to rescue some prisoners.
Those kit guns won't stay offline forever.
I know. Just tell us if anything changes.
You'll be the first to know. Callow out.
Go, rock and roll.
You want a piece of me, boy? Yeah. Commander, standing by. Jacked up and good to go. Give me something to shoot. Go. Let's move. Outstanding. Rock and roll. Take you and take my people prisoner out of the way!
Keep your focus, Drac. They catch us, they exalt us.
Not this Grogan, they won't.
Not how I'm going out!
You can't get Black Widow immediately, but a deluxe edition sniper partially compensates. That makes the start, the prologue and first landing on EOS the hardest segment of the run. I don't recommend playing like I did, unless you want an easy hardest difficulty clear, where all enemies feel like identical targets. If I return to the series, I'll switch weapons and never use Black Widow again.
Heads up, big guys ahead.
What annoys me most is the forced character banter you've made to listen to their chatter while traveling planets. Since I've played many times and nomad trips alone, I've heard these dialogues hundreds if not thousands of times.
Drac, did Gil beat you again?
Yeah,
Me too.
Gil doesn't lose.
It's so annoying.
So annoying.
Yes, you're right. You're so annoying. Also, to access their personal quests, you must sit through all their backstories. There are mods that cut down travel chatter. I skipped them fearing bugs or quest script breaks. Simpler would have been to mute dialogue audio, what I'd absolutely do if I hadn't finished the run. The first Mass Effect is my favorite in the series. Honestly, I think Mass Effect died after this one. Yes, that means I see Mass Effect 2 not as the greatest sequel ever, but as a serious downfall. The logic is simple. Look at the combat system. It's a tactical third-person shooter with solid RPG elements. Mass Effect 2 should have expanded that toolkit, not narrow it to a few abilities and semi-guns. In Mass Effect 1, the gear you find actually matters, depending on your build and class. You really must understand what to use and when. There are even mods that add more items and deepen classes. In other words, what the devs should have done for Mass Effect 2. As for my run, Soldier in Mass Effect 1 is optional, not the only viable class. You can beat it deathless on Insanity with other classes just fine. But I had a set strategy written on my tablet, so I stuck with it. I beat Soldier around sniper rifles plus shotguns, snipers for range firearms enemies, shotguns to control close quarters. I boosted weapon damage and armor health on Shepard right to the end, while letting my squad control the battlefield. That's the key difference from the other games in the series, especially Andromeda, where this was basically removed. Your squad isn't just a bundle of abilities, they debuff enemies, overload as sabotage strip shields and shut down weapons, biotics control waves of enemies. Squad choice depends directly on your Shepard, mine Kaiden plus Rex. I know that in the original release snipers behave differently. Scope sway was broken. When you aimed, the sight jittered widely before settling, and only by late game did it become steady. This was to balance sniper damage and prevent the Andromeda Legendary Edition situation where sway was removed. I am grateful the remaster fixed it. Even then, snipers alone can't carry every fight, you need close range tools like shotguns. Lastly, where is Pinnacle Station? The DLC was cut from Legendary Edition. Devs claim the original code was lost. In reality, they didn't see its value. Fans restored it via modding. It took months of work, and you can install it. Its final arena is the hardest fight in the game. Surviving requires specific strategies and skills. Wouldn't be responsible to include this mod if I claim modding has value. My answer: I didn't want more problems than necessary. Think of me what you will. I say that burden had no place on my shoulders. I'll return one day with many new mods including this. For now, I play the content intended for Legendary Edition. In the future, I'll replay the series, plus other games of course, with fan-made content. About the second Mass Effect. Funny how past love can turn into near hatred. To be clear, I am talking about gameplay and player interaction, not story. The story in Mass Effect 2 is the best in the series and beyond, among close analogs. But story isn't what matters in my project. Like many, I once considered Mass Effect 2 not just the best of the series, but one of the best third-person shooters ever. Now, having finished the run, I can say that's a deep misconception. It's not about personal distaste, it's about fair gameplay assessment. During the run I ranted, calling it trash, etc. Typical emotional outburst. What the hell is wrong with this game? It doesn't matter where exactly is your pointer. When you get hit, you can't hit. When you get hit, you can't hit.
Door's locked in. Once we get the fans going, we should be good.
See? And just insane. Just so bad, so stupid. Like, this is the best game on earth. A game that punishes you for extreme fast approach. It's pathetic. This game is pathetic. Mass Effect series is pathetic actually. It's super bad. Let me reframe. The game keeps you in very tight lanes. You crave more variety and control, but it keeps putting you in your place. It says, you can only do this, otherwise I won't work. To fix this, you need a stack of global mods that truly change the dev's original idea. I'll do that next run for several reasons. Number 1. Balance issues. Realistically, there are only two sane classes, Soldier and Vanguard. Only they have access to the useful weapon types, assault rifles and shotguns. Other classes lack them for half the game. Pistols hit too softly, and the infiltrated sniper doesn't help at close range. Shepard's abilities are implemented differently from the squad's. Biotic tech projectiles are slow and require Shepard to break cover, whereas Soldier Vanguard lean on weapons and weapon skills, adrenaline and charge, rather than weak projectiles. The second reason: few useful guns. The Matic assault rifle is so strong it eclipses everything else. The game becomes a one-gun shooter for hours unless we refuse to use it out of principle, and the game doesn't offer true alternatives. The third reason: aimbot enemies. On Insanity, Shepard is a glass cannon. You are forced to sit in cover and wait for small windows to shoot. If you miss, you wasted time and might lose. Maybe you will Jesus Christ, what a stupid game. Please stop shooting. Bastard. Fucking bastard. The game punishes you firing outside those windows with intense camera shake on damage. Watching frame by frame, you can see how wildly the sniper scope jerks when you get hit. Fun fact, the aimbots are clearly a dev mistake. Mass Effect 3 kind of fix it. I say kind of because without a fan patch, enemies in Mass Effect 3 become aimbots again above 120 FPS. And the final reason, movement. Shepard's movement is the worst in the series. He constantly sticks to geometry while running. Base speed is too slow. Sticky cover causes many deaths on Insanity. All of this can be addressed with mods, more weapons including from Mass Effect 3, disable aimbots, rebalance to unlock diverse strategies, add real rolls at dodges like in Mass Effect 3 or Andromeda. But then, what's left of the original game? That's why I skipped them. I wanted to keep the original game. And the last game, Mass Effect 3. After Andromeda, Mass Effect 3 doesn't seem so bad to many players. Everything is relative, right? For me, Mass Effect 3 isn't even a full game, it's a DLC for Mass Effect 2, with aggressive pushes toward online content. It's very short, about 3 hours, stuffed with content that barely counts as quests. It holds your hand muttering, "If you finish now, you'll get a bad ending. Stay a few more hours, please." That is where we first get the empty small talks, normalized later in Andromeda. Plus, you can't skip most scenes until the devs allow it, again normalized by Andromeda. In short, remembering Mass Effect 3's history, it's not surprising I view it as a paid patch to fix Mass Effect 2's mistakes, padded to justify the price. But in gameplay terms, Mass Effect 3 is a boon for the series, ignoring Mass Effect 1's lost potential destroyed by Mass Effect 2. There is a lot of varied weaponry and upgrades, enabling experimentation and personalized approaches. You can reshuffle guns and shred enemies differently each time, and still effectively, if you do it right of course. Added mobility and real usefulness of biotics tech makes this the best game for the Mass Effect fans today. So why did I stick to one weapon? That's my problem, not the game's. I latched onto a proven setup, ADAS for Shepard, Typhoons for the squad. For a deathless run, I needed nothing else. It mirrors Andromeda. I pick gear that confers serious advantage but siphons away the fun. If I return, I won't use ADAS, or even Typhon. I didn't install GM or other content mods like Take Earth Back because there is a lot there irrelevant to the run. It takes time and energy to play every new quest in mod and note what's required and what can be ignored. Operation Paladin, for example, would certainly have changed my view on difficulty. I'd have stopped using the same weapons, etc. I am saving that for the next run. Yes, the game would look very different with those mods. They make it a truly quality product, but that's precisely the issue. I didn't want to distort the original dev intent. C vs Leads. If you listen to part 1, you can guess my point. Dozens of mods would only have improved the playthrough, but I didn't install them because they alter the original product. Hardcore challenge runs with mods are banned in many communities because they consider it wrong or even cheating. I believe the opposite. Hardcore starts with comfort, when you are mentally and physically ready to grow as a player. Well-chosen, high-quality mods, always at the top of Nexus or similar websites, lead to standardization without stripping people of the joy of play. Cementing mods for challenge run standards would even bring more support to modding communities. I consider the restrictive anti-modding stance harmful. It locks hardcore players and their favorite games in a tiny prison with only a silver of light. As for me, I affirm that I will always mod my games to make them better. Thanks for watching and good luck.